right? It makes more sense like this, right?
Yeah.
Okay, perfect. So, okay, Ozzy, thank you so much for receiving us today here at Iglu in Chiang Mai. I'm really happy that you found the time to talk to me. I was really impressed when I read your story and what your company is doing in Chiang Mai. It seems like a solution for so many digital professionals. And I just didn't see anybody talking about it before. So I was like, of course, I have to talk to them and figure out the details so I can help spread the word and help other people who are looking for a solution, a visa solution for them. So just for people who don't know, Ozzi Jarvinen
Yeah, that's right.
is from Finland, and he founded Iglu initially as a software development company in 2010. They have grown into a community of 90 plus digital professionals from more than 25 nationalities. 3 offices already, 1 in Bangkok, 2 in Chiang Mai. And they have professionals working on mobile apps, web design, web development, digital solutions across multiple platforms. They have partnerships with other businesses, and they help them relocate their teams or projects to work in Thailand. So, thank you.
Thank you.
I want you to start telling us a little bit about you before I ask you about Iglu, like your story. Where did it all start in Finland, and how did you get here?
So yeah, basically, I was born in Finland for a kind of a middle class family, 3 brothers, and from pretty young age, I started to travel quite a bit. I was a 16-year-old when I left to England for a short exchange program into a Wakefield College in Northern England. And probably that was the first time that I realized that it is actually not that difficult to communicate with the people with another language than Finnish, because I sucked at English. My English was really bad in school. I was probably one of the worst students in the class. But I realized that even as one of the worst students, I was still able to communicate, and I was kind of, I mean, in the beginning it was a little bit difficult to understand the slang in Northern England, but once I got hooked up with that, then I realized that it's not that difficult. So it kind of, the travel bug, I think, started from there. I mean, before that, obviously, I traveled with my family, but that was kind of a different thing. I've enjoyed more traveling as a solo traveler.
You lost your British accent then.
Yeah, I don't know. I guess it's more Finnish accent now, but it's kind of getting a bit mixed. It's probably getting some Thai in it as well.
Lots of Americans around you?
There is quite a few Americans around me, yeah. Yeah, I do say awesome more than brilliant. So.
That's a good way to say it. I never thought of that.
Yeah.
Okay. And so from your 16, so how long did you stay in the UK?
Well, I went there for a couple of months, then I went back to Finland, then I went back for 3 summers to actually work in a coffee shop in southern England.
So that's why the coffee here is so good.
Yeah, that's behind it. Yeah, that's where I actually got my coffee addiction. Working in a coffee shop, unlimited amount of free good coffee, and having triple espressos all day. That's where the addiction started, and it's still very much there.
And how many do you have today? Like nowadays?
Well, I can live with 2, but normally I think I have about 3 or 4. Actually, in our offices, all the 3 offices, we use about 20 kilos of coffee beans per month. So we get a wholesale price straight from the roaster, and they deliver here. They actually, for long, they thought we are running a coffee shop.
So if the person is working at Iglu, she's allowed to have that coffee. That's kind of like included in the price.
That's included. So it's unlimited amount of espressos and cappuccinos, and we also have people who can help to work around with the coffee machine, because
you should advertise that. I did not see that in my research.
All right, I will definitely. I'll need to add that into it.
Okay, so then you worked at coffee shops, and then what?
Well, then I went back to Finland, and it was year 2000. Actually, I lived for a while in Belgium. I tried Spain, and I kind of got a little bit fed up with Europe, I would say. So it was year 2000. I was actually studying international business in Finland, and I really started to look at where can I go outside of Europe. So I applied for different exchange programs. I applied for Irkutsk in Siberia, Beijing in China, Bali in Indonesia, and Bangkok in Thailand. Bangkok was the only one that actually had an English program, and for my surprise, they accepted me as a student. So I left to Bangkok, and very much fallen in love from the first day arriving to Bangkok. That's 16 years ago.
16 years ago.
16 years ago, and
That's amazing.
I just loved it.
Okay.
I knew from the beginning that this is the place where I should be.
So what kind of project did you say you applied for?
I went to Bangkok University as an exchange student, learning international business.
So like your university in Finland had a partnership with...
They had a partnership with
I got it.
well.
Okay.
And it was pretty much one-way traffic. I didn't see too many Thais coming to study in Finland, but more and more Finns started to show up into the universities in Bangkok.
Interesting. And what did you study?
International business.
Okay, cool. So you did that for like 4 or 5 years? That's how you stayed in...
Yeah, well, my international business studies in Finland were very international because I was everywhere but in the university. So it was a kind of a scraping credits from here and there, and eventually I got all the 140 credits. But I was traveling a lot and a lot of it. I also did my internship actually in Thailand.
Your what?
My internship.
Internship.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, just if there are any students, lots of people from Brazil, I think, are going to end up listening to this. Like, if a student who has this dream of studying abroad, how was it very difficult? Like, was it very expensive? Is it a private colleges only that have this, or?
Well, the thing is that I guess I'm a little bit lucky in a way, coming from Finland, where we actually get paid to study and not paying for studying.
Very different
so
from Brazil.
it's a very different from many parts of the world. So everybody basically gets a student grant. So actually it might have just been the easiest time of my life, because not only they pay for the school, but they pay for your accommodation, they give you plenty of money for food and so on. Especially back in those days, 16 years ago, I could not spend all the money I was getting. I've had a hard time, although I did party quite a lot. So I don't think I was carrying huge amount of cash back to Finland. But
that's amazing. Oh my God, to get paid to go study abroad and still have money for beers.
But it does spoil you forever in a way that now that I live here, I find it quite hard to understand that you go to school and you actually pay for it. It's kind of
different mindset.
It does make it a different mindset.
Yeah, that's great. Okay, so then you went to Bangkok, and then how long did you get a job there?
No, what happened to me was early 2001. I was called into military service back in Finland, which is compulsory. Everybody have to go. I did everything possible to trying to avoid it. Actually, I was already postponing it by 4 years at that time. So I guess they just wouldn't let me postpone it anymore. I did even email to the army saying that could I bring some Cambodian friends with me. Unfortunately they're not Finnish citizens, but we have this communist revolution coming, and I would very much like them to be trained up as well.
Really?
And it didn't work. They still wanted me. And I went back. Did 6 months in the military. Actually, all during the whole military time, I was flying back in and out to Thailand because I didn't have any address in Finland. My home was in Thailand, so every time there was a holiday, they had to fly me back to my home.
That's interesting. So the military was actually paying for you to go there, paying for your trips back here during holidays,
and give me money for food and accommodation. Obviously.
Oh my goodness! It's almost like I can't believe this.
Yeah.
Imagine.
Yeah, there's
So
some good things about.
it's like the
living.
educational government of Finland takes care of you, and the military side of it also takes care of you.
Yeah, but I have to remember that we have to do it. I mean, I would have much rather pay and not to do it. I mean, I hate. I really didn't like it. I didn't feel like I belonged it there, and I don't think I learned anything useful from it. So, except I became very good in PlayStation because most of my work was to test new PlayStation games and see if they are suitable for the military.
Are you kidding me?
And the ones that I liked, I obviously kept for myself. And
Are you telling? No,
that's what I
you're
was
not.
doing. So
You're just
that's,
joking.
no, that's serious. That's serious. I was Colin McRae Rally and Pro Evolution Soccer. I became awesome in those two. So that's
I
serious.
can't believe you went to the military.
I had
to
my own office as well for that.
PlayStation to play PlayStation.
Yeah,
This is amazing.
I probably got the best job you can get in the Finnish military. I'm pretty convinced. I never heard anyone had an easier job than I had.
Okay, great story. Okay, so you finished the military and then you went back to.
Then I stayed. I came back for Thailand for a little while, but I didn't really have any work. So I went back to Finland. Stayed in Finland. I started my first company in 2002, advertising agency in my hometown, which is 300,000 people. I guess third biggest city in Finland.
Okay.
And I run that. I ran it a couple of years in my hometown Tampere. Then we moved it to Helsinki, which probably was one of my very first mistakes in business.
Okay.
Because I thought, well, we're going to Helsinki, so we're going after bigger clients, not taking into account that we're also going to a place that is going to be a lot more expensive. So not only the income is going up, but also the expense is going up pretty drastically. So I kind of burned myself out. Early 2006, so at that time I must have been 28 years old, and I had my first burnout. And then I was thinking, well, this is not right. This is definitely not right. Something is wrong in this concept. And I just packed a small backpack. I actually flipped a coin about whether I should move back to Bangkok or Abu Dhabi.
Oh, okay.
And the coin decided Bangkok, and I moved back to Bangkok in 2006. And I'm still on that trip. So since 2006, I've actually done one holiday trip to Finland.
Really? In 10 years?
Yeah, in 10 years, I've been once back. That was 2 years ago.
Is that because you love Thailand, or is that because you don't like Finland so much?
I think it's a bit of a both. I mean, first of all, there is not too many things from Finland that I can't have here. I'm playing ice hockey in the local team here. I'm the goalkeeper of the Chiang Mai ice hockey team.
Are you serious?
So
Chiang Mai has a hockey team?
Yeah, we have ice hockey team.
That's why I tell people, like, Chiang Mai is a box of surprises.
Yeah.
I've been living here on and off for like almost 6 months, and I never heard they had a hockey team.
Yeah, I mean, it's sometimes difficult to believe how lucky I am that I got all these things. Of course, we got public saunas where I can go and all that. The only thing that I can't do is snowboarding, and I do miss a little bit. However, it's not that far to fly to Japan to snowboard, which actually probably going to be better than back Finland. So
okay, it's $150 flight.
Yeah, it's pretty cheap.
It's amazing.
And you can fly to Seoul as well, direct from Chiang Mai, and you can do snowboarding there.
Okay. Now, just going back a little bit on your burnout, I'm interested. How many people were working with you in this travel agency, and why did you get the burnout? Was it because of the expenses that you talked about, or the team?
Advertising agency, not travel. Advertising.
Advertising agency.
At that point, I think we were three guys full time. I found it quite. I have to take my hat on those who manage it to do it in Finland, because it is very hard. Things are very expensive. If you happen to make some money, then the tax office will make sure that they'll take the biggest share of it. And I was struggling with the finance. Also partly, and it's partly to do that I was maybe a little bit too young in a way that when we were doing well, the expenses kind of got out of the hand, you know, company credit cards and trips and all that, and I did quite easily burn the money as well. So,
Okay, that's
so it's
interesting.
a lot of it is to do with that I was never very good with managing finance. I don't think I'm any better today, but
I hope you have a financial director.
I do have other people who are way better in that, and I've struggled to explain my expenses to them every week now.
Yeah. I'm just like you. I hate that part, the number part. I like the people part. Okay, then you finally got to Thailand. Like your first business in Thailand. Then you opened a business here. Or?
Yeah, so 2006 I came back and I worked as a freelancer. So at that time I already had some of the existing client base in Finland, and I was working as a freelancer, doing websites, mainly actually websites. And it was good. It was a bit of a struggle, obviously, because you know some months you did great, the other months not so. And it was early 2007 when I actually got one client here in Chiang Mai, and that took me here first time to Chiang Mai, and so I just decided that I might as well, because most of my clients were in Finland. So now there is one that is actually 700 kilometers away in Chiang Mai. So I thought I might as well fly in there and get the work done there, so we can talk and.
And this was a Thai company?
This was a Thai company, a real estate website. And I flew to Chiang Mai, and it didn't take too long then when I started to realize that this is way better. I loved Bangkok when I was living in Bangkok. I thought it was the best place on earth. Moving to Chiang Mai made me realize that how wrong I was, that how much better this place is. And also I've always loved motorbikes. I've been riding motorbikes since I was like 13, 14 years old. So suddenly I was in a place where it's fantastic for bikes, and I can ride to work, even if it's riding a scooter. Back in those days, then it was still great. I could ride everywhere. It's in Bangkok, not very tempting to be riding in that traffic.
Yeah.
So
this was
2007. Yeah.
7. Okay.
So past 9 years, I've been living in Chiang Mai.
And Chiang Mai 9 years ago, I heard, was like totally different.
It was very different. Just to think of like what we call now as a digital nomads, there maybe was 10, 15 of us back in those days, and we pretty much all knew each other. I mean, these days it's thousands, obviously. So,
okay, so you were pioneer. You were digital nomad. You're a dinosaur. Digital nomad.
I am. Although I can't really claim that nomad status if I've been last 9 years in Chiang Mai. I haven't moved anywhere, so
that's true.
I'm very much.
But you could.
I could.
Yeah.
I could. Yeah.
Like so you're 100% digital since then.
Yeah, I'm digital, but yeah, I just decide not to because I just love it here in Chiang Mai. So now it's quite difficult to get me to go anywhere.
And
I'm thinking about the Brazil, but it's I've never been in that such a long flight.
July would be a great opportunity for you. Trust me, I'm putting up a great schedule.
But just actually talking about the nomad thing. So I've been here 9 years in Chiang Mai, 11, 12 years total in Thailand. I still haven't been to Malaysia. So that's how little I travel.
I know you're married to a Thai woman, right? When did that happen?
Well, this is the second go now. So my second marriage, and this happened. Well, technically, we're actually not married yet. We got engaged a bit over a year ago.
Okay.
But we haven't bothered to do the paperwork yet because it is quite a daunting task to go through the paperwork, and Then if we also, if that means there is going to be some surname change, then that's going to add to that paperwork. So we'll do that whenever we have that extra
Yeah.
mind space.
Right. Well, that's not really important, right?
No.
The important part is the love part.
Yeah.
Okay. So, what about Iglu? Like, did you work in many different projects before you started Iglu from the moment you moved to Chiang Mai?
Yeah, I mean, I did. There was the real estate company which was called Home in Asia, and actually I worked on that quite a bit. So I've got to see a little bit how's the real estate world in Chiang Mai, which was very interesting, very different to what I expected, and very different to Finland, which is very regulated to start with. Here it was a bit wild west when it comes to the real estate.
I think it still is, from what
It,
I hear.
it still is, yeah. And then I worked with the one local design company, doing more of their sales and a bit of a project management and so on, until 2010 when I set it up, Iglu.
Okay, so design was so you did web development.
I did web development, but I've never really been. So here's the thing: when I started the advertising agency, I really wanted to be a designer. The first two guys that we hired to the company have later won the Cannes Lions in advertising. So obviously they were way better designers than I were. So at that point I decided, well, there's no point of me doing design. I got these guys here. So I started learning programming. And then the very first programmer we hired, I realized was way better than me. So I realized, well, there's no reason for me to do programming now, and I'm just gonna be stuck in the admin and writing papers.
Okay.
Signing documents, and that's what I still do today.
So that's interesting. It's like a natural outsourcing process.
Yeah. So yeah, basically I had to outsource because I sucked at both of the design and the programming. So.
I can see that you're a humble person. I can see that. Yeah, that's great.
But I've been good finding the right people. I've been good finding those who are better than me.
So. Yeah, that's a great asset, right? To spot the right people. And yeah, I want to dig into the team building in a second more. So just for me to like visualize the end of like you coming to Chiang Mai, working as a designer, and then how did the idea for Iglu, was it that natural process of outsourcing that kind of...
There is actually, there is a few different things behind it. One was, at that time, there wasn't a lot of a local talent when it comes to programming. Or the ones that graduated, and had the skills, they usually went to Bangkok. They looked for bigger companies, bigger opportunities in Bangkok. Not too many stayed in Chiang Mai, and it was quite difficult it was very difficult to actually hire in foreigners to do the work because of the work permit regulations and all that. And at the same time, I started to have a bit of a struggle with the Finnish tax office with all the work that I did as a freelancer. Well, they started to obviously thinking, well, hold on, you're living in Thailand, but are you really paying your taxes and everything and so on? And we had, I had to do quite a bit of work to actually pay all my taxes from the previous years. So I've realized that I'm probably not the only person being in this kind of situation. That there must be other people who would like to stay and work in Thailand and actually pay their taxes here as well from the work they do, which makes sense, totally sense. You pay your taxes where your residence is. And at the same time, the thing that, well, I wanted to hire some programmers, and I couldn't really find the talent, or I couldn't legally hire them because of the work permit situation. And that's where the kind of idea of Iglu started.
Right.
So
when you hit that block.
Yeah, I hit that block, and even from the very first idea, it still was about 2.5 years of paperwork before we actually were there to start. So started the company 2010 as a software development company, actually starting from this room. This was kind of like a spare room in the house, and we started from here.
Very nice house, like 20-minute drive from Old Town, which is right in the middle of Chiang Mai, right?
Yeah. So yeah, this I did love the location. We are right next to the national park, and it's very quiet here. And because we don't we never really had any walking customers, so we don't really need to be right in the center of the city. And I wanted also something totally opposite to what I had in Helsinki. In Helsinki, we were living. We had the office right in the center, and I was only living 1 block away from it. So it was very much in the business center, in the business heart of Helsinki, and maybe a little bit soulless place with work in and so on. Now that we have this water fountains, we got
Roosters.
the neighbor there. There's roosters there. The other neighbor has some cows, and then actually right behind this building there is rice paddies.
So this is where you get your rice and your meat, your meat and your milk.
Maybe I wouldn't know because it goes through the market, but maybe. And that's actually I live just other side of the rice paddies. So every morning when I come to work, I walk, or actually riding my bike, but riding the bike through the rice paddies. So it's very different to what I had in Helsinki.
That's great. That's a great routine. Awesome. So when you hit that block, which is the block that I think every digital nomad hits, maybe 1 or 2 years down the road, I'm actually facing this block in my life right now. I had to register my company in Brazil, for example, and I left Brazil 3 years ago on this mission to find a new country for me. And so my first plan, because my company was online, was to register it in a tax heaven type of situation. Because I don't have any intention to go back to Brazil to live. So I was going to do that. I was almost registering my company in Hong Kong when they told me that in Brazil, for me to get the visa to Spain, I actually, thank you. She's bringing coffee and water for us.
Thank you.
Yeah. Kaplan ka. So I learned from the Spanish consulate that for me to get my visa to Spain as a Brazilian, I have to register my company in Brazil. Otherwise, Spain would not give me my residency.
Yes.
So it's one solution that I found. So I always tell people, like, if I prove to the Spanish government that I'm making 2,200 euros a month, and if that money is coming from another country inside Spain, and if my health plan is privately paid in Spain and blah, 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 then I can get the visa to Spain. I didn't even know this kind of solution that you offer was on the table.
Right.
If I had known, maybe I would have not registered my company in Brazil because it's a pain. So my question, I think, from what you just said is, as a Brazilian, for example, because I don't find a lot of answers, and I don't even know if you know the answer here, maybe you can just recommend somebody for me to ask. But as a Brazilian, if I decide that I want to come to Iglu and I want to become a resident with a work permit in Bangkok, does that mean that I don't pay tax in my country? I don't have to pay tax in my country anymore? That's where I'm totally stupid.
Yes, well, that's as far as I understand. I don't know, of course, the Brazilian tax laws, but that's how it works with the Europeans. American have a little bit different kind of system where, and in Americans they have to be eligible for the, I don't even know what is it called, but the foreign income exemption or something like that. I'm not really a tax expert, so I don't know exactly how it works with the Brazil. But for example,
in Europe, for example,
in Europe we have something called 6 months rule. So and there is agreements that double taxation agreements. So when somebody comes in here and they working here over 6 months, then that income is taxed in Thailand, not in their home country.
Okay, and that relieves them from having to pay tax back in their country. They're just paying it here.
From the income made in Thailand.
Right.
If they're still making, like, let's say you have a maybe rental income back in home and so on, then that would be taxed there.
Okay, well that makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's fair. Okay, I got it. Great. So then, where did the big volume, like today you have 90, almost 100 people in here. Was that something that happened recently, or is that something that's been added over the last...
Yeah, I mean, it's the growth for the last 3 years, the worst growth rate we had was 106%. So, and the best was 500. So it's anything between doubling and a 500% growth per year. Usually we set up a modest goal of 100% growth, and so far every time we have got into that. And but it's quite interesting because in the very beginning it started very much with Finns. We're actually the biggest employer of Finns in Thailand. We passed Finnair already on that. We have currently 25 Finns in the office. And that was very much...
Do you have any Brazilians? I'm just curious.
We don't have any Brazilians. Actually, as of now, we don't have any South Americans yet.
Okay, South Americans, please come represent me.
I don't know if it's because of the long distance or could it also be because it's quite warm there already. So we tend to get people more from the colder countries.
I think it's lack of information and lack of English. Only 8% of Brazilians actually speak English. Right, they can understand, they can read, but they cannot speak English.
Well, we have one Portuguese girl, so maybe she can help us to do some content in Portuguese.
So after Finland, what's the next country that has?
Well, after Finland, actually Thailand becomes second. And then we have UK, US, Canada, Australia, New Zealand, and then a lot of European countries, France, Holland. We have maybe 3 or 4 from each, and then there is a lot of countries where we have like one person. Probably the most exotic for me are Japan and Jordania. But all in all, 25 different nationalities.
That's amazing.
And probably more than that in languages, I think.
So it's been 6 years now?
It's been 5.5 years.
5.5 years. And okay, I know you guys, the kind of visa that you offer is called BOI, right? Business.
Yeah, it's business. Well, the visa is business visa.
Thailand Board of Investment.
Yeah, we are under the BOI, which is Board of Investment, and so everybody in the office have business visa under BOI, which gives you a little bit extra perks. You can use the diplomat doors at the airport, at the Suvarnabhumi airport, and so on.
No, you can actually use for what? Excuse me?
There is a so-called express lane, which is diplomats, BOI, monks, I believe.
For you mean like a VIP waiting room?
Yeah, kind of a
VIP.
It's basically for the passport check.
Okay.
So when I go to Suvarnabhumi airport, I actually get through the passport check faster than my Thai wife gets through the Thai line.
Are you kidding me? You get to stay in line with the monks.
Yeah. So far, I don't think I've ever seen any other person there though. So it's a 5 desks and me choosing the one that looks nicest.
Oh my god!
So it's super fast. A very good service.
Little things that really make you feel like a diplomat.
For me, I travel so little that doesn't make any difference. But we do have people in Bangkok who like to travel or need to travel because of the work. And for them, if they're flying once a week, it makes a big
huge
difference.
Yeah. Totally.
Because it's never nice to be in that line at the airport, and when you just arrived, you want to get home, or then it's...
So Thailand just amazes me. Thailand came up with this visa called the Thailand Board of Investment type visa to solve this kind of situation of people who work with digital, who have
No,
digital related careers?
I think no. Actually, under Board of Investment, there is many different categories.
Okay.
You have agriculture, you have manufacturing of cars. There is a dozen of categories. The main core idea there is of getting a foreign investments into Thailand, and the main benefit under BOI is actually the 100% foreign ownership, that the company can be owned 100% by foreigners, because normally in Thailand you have the regulation of a 51% Thai ownership in the company.
Right, especially
And-
people talk about this in real estate. If you want to buy something here, you always need
Right,
a Thai
right.
person.
And then as another big advantage for us, maybe the biggest advantage is that we are not limited to Thai employees only, but we can bring in foreign experts, which you're very much doing now and taking advantage of that.
Amazing. I wish Brazil would wake up. Please, anybody in the Brazilian government, create a type of visa to attract foreigners to Brazil. This is just makes so much sense. I don't know why every country doesn't have this made easier
Right.
in this world that we live in today with so many nomads.
I'm hoping that one day it will, but I think it's gonna take to get, let's say, 100 countries to agree on it or more. It's gonna take some time, but hopefully.
Yeah.
Hopefully.
The only two that I'm familiar with, but it's Spain makes it easier for you, and now Thailand.
Right.
Do you know of any other?
For me, obviously, being an EU citizen inside of Europe, it's been very straightforward already. I think it all depends. Like, for example, I believe in Singapore, if you invested enough of money, which in Singapore might be
A little bit too much.
it might be quite a lot, maybe not. I assume it's probably talking about quite a big money. But then there was a possibility to get the so-called employment pass and so on. However, I actually did travel to Singapore a couple of weeks ago, and I've heard it's just got much more tough there as well. So basically, the locals are not super happy about too many foreigners coming in, and the prices going up. The prices of apartment, the prices of food, and so on is going up, and therefore now. It seems like the companies are struggling quite a bit
Okay.
to bring in foreign employees.
Yeah, I heard from another guy that I met that if you compare opening a company in Hong Kong and opening a company, registering, incorporating your business in Hong Kong or in Singapore, that people see the business that was incorporated in Singapore with much better eyes. Like it proves that your business is in a higher level than if your business was in Hong Kong, because Hong Kong became so popular that now they have to deal with this huge volume of businesses, and Singapore is much stricter in many ways. I don't know if it's true.
But yeah, I don't have much of an experience, but I do know people who have companies in Hong Kong. I don't know people who have companies in Singapore. In Singapore, it's just more expensive, as far as I know. The setting it up is more expensive. To probably also
Maybe that's
run
why
it
he said it looks better, because maybe your company has more investment.
Maybe that's it, and yeah.
So the benefits of this kind of visa where Iglu operates, you said permission to have 100% of foreign ownership. Any more benefits? Because I saw something about possible to pay 0% tax up to the first 8 years.
Yeah, so that we didn't actually get that perk. Different categories have a different benefits. Yeah, different benefits. We don't have any tax benefits at all, actually. However, coming from Finland, which is maybe second highest taxation in the world, I'm fine. I'm actually quite happy to pay the taxes in Thailand and also as a company, as well as my personal income tax to because this country has given us so much that we're quite happy to give back. And they're doing quite well with that, actually, with the tax money. they get. I mean, the roads are great, the infrastructure is good, the health care is actually
Amazing.
very good for the money they spend. Education, I think there is still work there. So
Yeah, that's what I heard. Like to have kids here, it's still a little bit complicated. It's better to do homeschooling.
yeah, we have families here who do homeschooling actually. People working in Iglu who do homeschool their kids.
Okay.
And that's becoming more and more popular, and there's more and more resources to actually do it. So
Yeah. There was actually
I have a Thai daughter
You
who
do?
I used to homeschool, not not myself, but we had this homeschooling community where we had one American teacher. So he was homeschooling a group of 4 or 5 kids, and my daughter was there as well.
Oh, that's great. How old is she?
She's now 19, and I'm actually a grandfather. So
19?
she's 19, and I'm a grandfather for a 1.5-year-old.
No, wait a second. How old are you again?
I'm 37.
37. So that means you had her when you were 18?
Well, it came in a package with my previous wife.
Okay.
So it's actually a stepdaughter
So that's
who I
like-
then later adopted.
Okay. Oh, I got you. And like right after you moved here, probably.
Yeah, very, very soon after. Yeah, I think 2007. Yeah,
That's a great story. There was a TED speaker. I don't know. Did you go to TED?
I did. We actually sponsored TED.
Oh.
The TEDx Chiang Mai.
Okay.
Yeah, we sponsored it. Actually, we have sponsored it the previous year as well. Yeah.
That's awesome. Did you remember the TED speaker that was talking about homeschooling? And the project that he coordinates of homeschooling, and he was actually like sending out a message to the Thai educational government, like we need to improve because homeschooling is becoming much better here in Thailand.
That must have been in afternoon.
It was in the afternoon.
Because I was there until lunch, and then I had to run to a plane to fly to Singapore.
Oh, okay.
So
Yeah.
I missed the afternoon.
Yeah, I think we can see it on YouTube later.
Yeah. That would be interesting.
Cool. Okay, so you don't have the tax benefit, but you still have a bunch of other benefits that are totally worth.
Yeah, basically,
doing it.
I mean, the benefits that we have is the foreign ownership, and actually the possibility to hire foreigners, get the work permits and business visas for foreigners. Normally in Thailand, there is a pretty tough regulations on each foreigner you have to, each foreigner you employ, for each work permit, you have to hire 4 Thais, and you have to have a 2 million baht share capital. So let's say if you have 5 foreigners, that means 10 million baht in a share capital, and at least 20 Thais.
Right. And that's how much in dollars, do you know? Just for people
So 2 million baht would be about $60,000 US.
So you
for
need to
each.
have $60,000 of
For-
capital plus
for each
salary
foreigner.
for each
employee.
foreigner. Okay. Yeah. And then I know you work with 2 types of clients here at Iglu. Can you explain what are the 2 profiles?
So basically, I mean, and it actually goes back to the very beginning of Iglu and where the idea kind of developed a little bit was I realized I got my hands on a study that was done in Finland about outsourcing to India, and it was quite shocking. The results of the study were that it's 31% more expensive outsourcing to India than doing it locally in Finland. I was like, oh, that's shocking. That's like I need to find out a little bit more about that. And they, a lot of the time the problems were communication, not understanding the business model and so on. So it came down to different kind of culture, different language, probably also into the working kind of methods and control. Deadline had a maybe different meaning in Finland than it had in India, and a lot of the time the companies ended up redoing the code after it's supposed to be already released, and that's usually very expensive. Actually, that's how I made my living as a freelancer. I redid the work that's supposed to be done already and supposed to be released, and then asking double the pay that I would normally, because it's already kind of past the deadline, and then working 22 hours a day when I was in Bangkok just to get it done.
22 hours a day?
I did 22-hour days when I was in Bangkok as a freelancer.
Are you kidding me?
Because normally that was the way that you could actually charge a higher rate, because you just need to get it done, and like it's supposed to be released yesterday. Okay,
2 hours
to
done. Sleep?
Yeah.
You ate?
I ate while doing so.
Oh my! How long did you do this for?
I did it probably for about 6 months or something, and that was right after my burnout, so it wasn't maybe the best of ideas. But I was quite happy doing it. Obviously, I mean, I had days when I wasn't working, so then I could, relax and play hockey in Bangkok
instead of sleep. It's more hockey than sleep.
And I was much younger then, so I don't think I could do it today.
Okay.
Those days are gone. But yeah, from there I started to think like, okay, well, if that's the case, then how about Finns outsourcing work to Finns who just happen to be in a place where it's cheaper to run the business, and the living cost is cheaper, and also this burnout thing very much was one of the fact that I wanted to create an environment where you works as stress-free as possible. I mean, the work is still the same, even if you're doing it here, but it's just the environment where you are. The fact that in Finland you finish your work, you take your car to the supermarket, get your groceries, you drive home, watch the 10 o'clock news, which is usually nothing good, and eat your food home. Whereas here you spend so much time outdoors, and you can spend half of your day working in a hammock if you want, and then you eat the lunch outdoors, you see your friends. A lot of us do motorbiking and whatever, it's bicycling and so on. So we daylight, so seeing the sun actually. I think just seeing the sun is awesome, and just being outdoor, breathing the outdoor air is great.
Yeah.
So
I interrupted you. You were talking about the two profiles of people who work here.
So that's where it started. I was like, okay, so Finns outsourcing to Finns, Swedes outsourcing to Swedes. So we had clients who had a need for, let's say there is a company in Helsinki, they need iOS developers. We find them iOS developers who happen to be Finns, but they will be working from here. They might even still be in Finland. They might even go to the customer and do an interview, and they're like, yeah, great. And then they pack their stuff, move, and start working from here. So it's kind of been, so it's partly recruitment.
That's such a great idea, because here they actually have a much lower cost of life. So then they can charge much lower than they would charge there. So still with your taxes here would be nothing compared to them.
Yeah, and your purchasing power, it's just like, it's skyrockets. I don't think many of us here could afford to live the same way back home. Just for example, eating outside 2-3 times a day, you would have to earn a lot of money to do that back home. I have a cleaner coming at the home. Stuff like that would just cost too much. I don't think I would. I don't know if I could afford to play ice hockey in Finland. How
much is a meal in Finland?
Well, you're looking somewhere between 7 to 10 euros each, like for a lunch.
Simple lunch.
Simple lunch.
And here you can find it for less than €1.
Yeah, less than €1. And actually, you get a better food for one. You get better food for €1 than you get for €10 back there. Just going for a dinner. I mean, in Finland, taking your wife to a dinner, that's gonna be
buying a house like the one you live here, for example, in Finland would cost.
Right. A lot. But more than I could probably ever afford. I mean, we have a nice house here, 3-bedroom house. To buy that cost about 60,000 euros. I would get a car park in Helsinki with that money. So yeah, that's where we are.
Amazing. Yeah. Great.
So then, yeah, of course, we have people who come in here who already have the existing client contact and already have they already have work. They just relocate to work from here. So that client becomes an Iglu client, and they become an Iglu employee. But they still have that relationship with their current clients, and they just invoice them through Iglu.
Oh, that's what I
So
was gonna
that's the one thing that there are people who I guess the only difference is whether they come with their existing clients or the clients come from Iglu. Whether we go and recruit them or headhunt them, or they're just walking in and they already have existing clients.
Okay.
But these days is a very much mix and match in a way that there is not. There are some people who are clear cut, working for one client and one client only. But then there are also people who work 50% for this Iglu client. With like people are starting to hook up and create teams inside Iglu, linking up and exchanging work as well.
That's very interesting. So, like, I have a friend who's making, let's say, $500 US per month. And I read somewhere that one of the requirements here is that the person needs to be invoicing at least $2,000 a month, right?
Yeah.
So let's say this person is a really talented professional that Iglu would be interested in for one of their projects. Maybe they can get the difference, the 1,500 through Iglu services.
Yeah. So yeah, we have a lot of people like that. So and there is a very various, like normally whether it's hourly rate or project rate or whatever, but there is a big variety of how people are working.
Right. And any other big requirements except I see a little list. I remember the $2,000 thing. I'm not sure if there's anything else.
Well, there is a requirements that come from the labor department when it comes to the work permit. So they require that the people that we hire have the experience to show that they already experienced for the work and they're capable of doing the work. And this is usually shown either by work experience or university degree plus work experience.
Okay.
So it's normally like if you have a bachelor degree from a relevant field and 2-year work experience, then that's to show that you know what you're talking about. If you don't have that university degree, then they want to see 5-year work experience from the relevant field.
Fair, totally fair. And they need to be 22 years old, I think.
Yeah. There is the minimum age of 22, which is a bit of a shame because, especially coming to a programming, sometimes I see 20-year-old guys who are just amazing, but unfortunately, that is the rule as of now, and whether that's going to change, we shall see. Usually, these kind of changes will take some time.
I think I also saw something that they have to be working either in software, design, marketing, sales, or tech related.
Yeah.
So a person like me who's a career coach,
no, that would not, because and that's come from the scope of our business license. What is the business that we are in and what we are allowed to do.
Okay.
So we do programmers, SEO, and digital marketing and stuff like that.
Okay, perfect. Okay, now I want to know a little bit more about you. So you worked 22 hours before.
Yeah.
How many hours are you working right now? Like, what's your routine like? Meditation. I don't know if you're into that or if you read a lot. Just tell me a little bit about your own performance requirements.
So I do still work a lot, but it's not because I have to, but it's because I like it. I like what I'm doing now and what we're building. So I mean, I probably spend 5 days. I do spend 5 days a week in the office. Whether it's this office, whether it's the other office in Nimban, sometimes in Bangkok. But I'm generally Monday to Friday in the office. But I do, I do Skype calls, emails, and so on outside of the office hours as well. I just built a weekend home in Chiang Mai up in the mountains. It's 70 kilometers north from here.
I've been there.
Middle of nowhere.
It's
just middle of nowhere.
amazing.
And however, I do have 4G connection there, so I'm probably going to be working from there. I'm going to go there for Saturday and Sunday this week, and probably working from there. So I do work quite a bit. I would say probably 50 to 60 hours a week, and I'm not very good taking days off. I haven't learned that yet. I think that's been one of my goals for this year, that I'm actually taking a holiday.
Oh, cool.
And
Brazil again, remember?
maybe, yeah. And when I'm not working, I got two dogs at home. They're taking some time. I'm walking them. Usually Sundays I spend with my granddaughter, trying to teach her some Finnish and English.
Oh, that's cute.
And then Monday, Thursday, and Friday I'm playing hockey. So I'm playing hockey about 7 days a week. 7 hours a week. Just trying to keep myself fit. Then I have my motorbike. So right now I'm riding big 1000cc KTM Adventure, which is this kind of long distance touring bike. And
you take it up to Shangdao.
I take it up to Chiang Mai and do. I've recently rode to Koh Samui and back and so on. And I'm planning for a trip to ride from here to Finland and back. However, for doing that, I need to learn first not to work to leave the office for a couple of weeks, because it's gonna take a good 2 months to ride there.
And you're gonna have to learn how to ride your bike in the water.
Yeah, well, I've got to.
You mean like you put the bike in the airplane?
No. Going from here, Burma, India, Pakistan, Iran, Turkey, and then
really, you can actually go through land all the way to
and then
Finland?
on the way back, you could do Russia, Kazakhstan, Mongolia, China, Laos. Thailand.
My goodness, how long would this take?
I reckon it's going to take about 2 months each way, so it's about 4 months trip. Whether I'm going to do it in one go, I'm not quite sure. I might just leave the bike in Finland, fly here, and then a few months later, when I'm rested, fly back and then ride it back. But we shall see.
That's interesting. So
But I don't think it's going to happen this year. I hope it's going to happen next year.
Okay.
I'm going to find the time.
Does Iglu work without you already?
Yeah, I mean I have great guys working here. We got the project managers. I got office managers in each office. The HR people are doing most of my work. I mean, I'm just signing papers really, and they just even pointing me where to sign. So most of I would say my work is getting easier and easier. But there is more of it, because there's more people. The more there is people, the more is things that needs to be sorted, and more customer contacts coming all the time. I had a Skype call this morning with a lady in America who wants to fly in here and get a software build inside Iglu. She would project manage it herself. So basically doing a startup inside Iglu, bootstrap it and then do it here rather than in Silicon Valley.
That's great that you mentioned that, because I totally wanted to ask you that question. Like, it's only a very small jump for Iglu to become a startup platform.
Well, I would say we are that. I mean, we have companies that have come to us in a situation where they just started up in Silicon Valley, and then realized that, okay, yes, we probably need to have our marketing person, our kind of PR and CEO here to connect, to get fundings and so on. But the technical work does not have to be done in Silicon Valley, so we don't need to get a big office that's going to cost us arm and a leg. And we have this limited budget to actually get the app done. So basically, we had the CTO walking into the Iglu and saying that, how about we do it here? It's like, yeah, great. And now they have 4 guys working there in one of the team rooms.
So it's happening already.
It's happening. It's happening. We have a gaming company from Finland. We have a people doing Android, iPhone, mobile games here for a startup in Finland and so on. And usually the way is that yes, for business reasons they might incorporate somewhere else, but the actual technical stuff, there's no reason why it couldn't be done here. Means we are pretty connected these days. We got 4 fiber optic lines there with a load balancer and so on, so the internet is no longer a problem.
I'm gonna come and work here, okay? Even before I come and join Iglu.
Yeah. And that was actually a problem in the very beginning. When I started 2010, internet wasn't that great in Thailand yet, but these days it's just fantastic.
Fantastic. Even from the islands.
Yeah.
Like in the islands, the internet is like 10 times better than in Brazil.
Yeah, and my weekend home now, which is just absolutely middle of nowhere, and at worst I got 40 megabytes download from my 4G, so I can actually see the 4G post, and I'm probably the only user there. So.
Jesus,
so
are you talking about 4G on your cell phone?
Yeah, 4G
that
on
you
my cell
share?
phone. Yeah, share with my laptop then.
That's amazing. Great. So just to finish your routine, you consider that your hockey and your motorbike, that's
hockey
your
and motorbike,
relaxation.
That's my
tools.
relaxation. I do have to. Unfortunately, this morning I went to see a chiropractic to fix my back, which had been a little bit problem, and I was highly recommended to do some yoga, some stretching, because he couldn't believe how unflexible I was, considering how much I actually do sports. So I do need to start probably yoga or something similar to that. I don't know, what was it? There's something called Zumba or...
Yes, Zumba is a kind of dance. I actually met
no, it wasn't the Zumba then. There is something else where you train your inner muscles. Something similar to yoga.
Well, you're in the right place.
Chiang Mai is there is so many opportunities for that. And I have to say, I tried yoga once, and the yoga teacher knew me before and knew that I was a bit skeptical in a way. I've played football a lot in my life and so on, and I was thinking, like, as a manly man, that, well, I've done a lot of physical things. It's gonna be silly. It's gonna be too easy for me to do yoga. And man, I was wrong, man. I think she pushed me a little bit harder because of that. She probably knew my attitude before, and man, I was wrong. It was hard. It was really hard. So.
Yeah.
And I also actually, because I thought it's gonna be a piece of cake, I had a flight booked straight from the yoga to fly to Bangkok, so I didn't really have a time to go to shower. It was bad. It was bad.
Oh God. So meditation itself, like closing your eyes and just breathing, have you ever tried that?
I used to do a lot of meditation before. My father actually used to teach meditation for work, basically. He didn't call it meditation. I think he called it self-hypnotize or something like that, mind control.
That's a great way.
I was a teenager, and I was doing a lot of learning basically from my father. I was used as a guinea pig for a lot of the testing. I mean, I had all these things plugged into me to see how long it takes me to get from to alpha state from being a wide awake. And I was really good at it. I was doing competitive meditation.
Your father used to do that with you?
Yeah, my father. So I was a guinea pig for my father, and I learned a lot of meditation from him. And I was actually using it in sports as well. So I was using it in sports in way of learning, and in a way of there's something called NLP, which I was learning.
I
NLP.
Totally use it all the time.
And you remember anchors, anchoring something.
Yes.
So I had ways of anchoring sports achievements and the feelings to get the adrenaline back. If I was doing really badly, and I needed to get that adrenaline back, so I was using it for that. Unfortunately, I have to say that I've kind of lost a bit of it. Like, well, I think it's still there, but I haven't been practicing it. I do have this amazing skill to sleep whenever I want, wherever I want, however long I want. So I mean, I when I go to sleep, it takes me probably less than 10 seconds when I'm gone.
That can be a superpower.
It is, and I never thought, like I thought everybody is like that. Until now, I realized that a lot of people saying, "Oh, I couldn't sleep last night." I was like, "Well,
Yeah,
you just
especially
put your head into the pillow."
age range that we're approaching. Because I'm around your age, so
Yeah. So yeah, I'm and maybe so that's why actually, if I try to meditate, I probably fall in sleep, and
right.
and maybe
The reason I'm asking you is because I'm totally studying meditation as a tool for performance enhancement with my clients that hire me that are sometimes totally stressed and they can't even make any decisions or transitions without reducing the level of stress. So every training that I give, I'm going to give a training on Sunday. I include some meditation shots, 3-minute, exercises for people to actually enjoy and absorb the information in the training better. I know a lot of offices already offer sessions of meditation every 2 hours or something for their employees. Maybe it's an idea for you in the future.
That would be idea, definitely. I mean, yeah, why not? I do actually, now that I think of it, maybe it's that I'm not as stressed anymore as I used to be. Maybe I'm learning to deal with it better and so on. And that's partly maybe the reason why I don't use it that much anymore, because maybe I don't need it as much. But now that I think of it, I'm still a couple of years ago when I had a very difficult situation. You see the day beds we have outside here.
Yes.
That's where I used to go. Is like just leaving the meeting room, not making the decision there, and then go there. I have my special place in my mind where I go when I need a little bit of a consulting with it, and just kind of clear my mind and take it 15 minutes or something, and come back with a better feeling and a way to continue from there if I was stuck with something.
That's amazing that you know how to do that, and that comes from that background with your dad.
I think it comes from. I mean, I did train pretty. I went through all these courses that he was keeping, which in a way it can be more difficult to learn it from your father than it would be from a stranger. Also, he did these, at that time it was C cassette, but these C cassette tapes for meditation. And it was also a little bit weird when it's your own father's voice to listen to it. So I think it probably would have worked better if it would have been someone else. But
he was so ahead of his time.
Yeah, that must have been like late 80s. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, like I'm becoming a certified mindfulness trainer for kids teachers. I'm part of this project in Brazil, and I'm going to replicate this course in Portuguese online for us to train teachers in Brazil how to include mindfulness, 15-minute shots of mindfulness inside their classrooms with kids, because it's scientifically proven that kids who have meditation exercises since they're little, they grow up mentally, emotionally much stronger with the possibility of concentration and focus to deal with all this digital information that we live in.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. Okay, now changing subject here, I want to know your opinion about the digital nomad movement and co-working spaces movement. What do you think about all this? There are still some people that are a little bit skeptical. I hear a lot of people saying digital nomads are just a group of backpackers who are trying to find a solution to stay on the road forever. They're not making any money. And I personally interviewed people who prove this to be wrong. I interviewed digital nomads who are making a lot of money. So just, how do you see all this and where is this going?
Well, first of all, I think it has changed, like even in the past 2, 3, 4 years. And what I see in Chiang Mai, obviously, this is the Mecca, this is the capital of digital nomads. It's the #1 destination for digital nomads in the world. So I think I'm in a spot place to kind of observe.
Why do you think it is? Why do you think Chiang Mai became this epicenter?
It's one of the reasons, of course, is living cost. And if you're bootstrapping something, then it makes sense to be where the living cost is cheap. But it's just have the right it's the right size for everything. You do have all the services you need, but it's not too big. It's not like a Bangkok. Although Bangkok seems to be also doing quite well in the digital nomad community. But it's a cheap place, but you have the infrastructure, you got the internet. Now you also have the community, which you didn't have before. So it's only getting better.
Yeah. Like the conference where you sponsored.
Right.
Almost 250 people.
Yeah.
And they advertised it like 2 or 3 weeks before.
I know. I think they sold it out in about 5 or 6 days or something. So they probably could have doubled the number. And I would assume next year is going to be double. So yeah, I mean, yes, I think in the very beginning here it was like that. I mean, people were trying to figure out how to make some money out, and maybe not all of them were doing that great and so on. But I think it's changing. I think people are. There is more and more opportunities. People are learning better tools, and then the community, the help that you have these people. There is a huge SEO community where they meet up all the time, and they're getting advice from each other. They're sharing the information. I think that's the one thing. They're sharing the information online and offline. So which is just going to make it better and bigger. And I don't think there is. I can't see anything stopping it. I mean, it's just going to get bigger and bigger. It makes total sense that because there's more and more work that you can do remotely. You don't have to be in the office. More and more companies are open to that. So it makes sense that you choose a location where you feel home, where you feel like you can get the work done, where you don't stress too much, where you enjoy your life. And now it's possible because of all the internet and everything. So I think it's just, and of course co-working spaces come, they're growing like mushrooms and so on, which is good. I think it's great for the nomad community. There is going to be more competition, which is going to push everyone to try better. So all the co-working spaces just getting better and better and better. So not every one of them is going to survive, obviously, but that's just normal in the business.
So you only see the good things.
I only see the good things, and I really, really hope that places like Thailand will take advantage of this, because I think Thailand have a great opportunity to become this. Well, it is already the digital nomad hub, but they would get more out of it if they find a way. What we do also, but I think Thailand could do something better to find a way to make it super easy to set up a one-person company. No need to invest a huge share capital. Get a maybe first 2-3 years you get your work permit and business visas without hiring another person and so on. Because this way, I mean, right now they're losing a lot to Singapore and Hong Kong. They just observing all these companies and the money and so on. And if Thailand doesn't necessarily have to do the same. They don't have to have a 0% in corporate tax because it's just a great place to live. If they just make it easy, less bureaucratic, and who knows? I mean, from these startups, 2, 3, 5 years time, there might be another new, maybe not a Facebook, but maybe a Twitter or something like that growing up. And which then suddenly they have 200 or 300 Thai people working there in the office and so on. So I'm just hoping that they are grabbing this opportunity and making it happen.
Yeah, that's
because then they can get much more out from it. Because what's going to happen now is, the company is going to be bootstrapped here, or the work is going to be done here, but maybe the intellectual property is owned by a company in Singapore. They're going to go to stock exchange, they're going to have, and there's going to be exit, there's going to be buyout, none of that money is going to come to Thailand.
Right.
And that would be a great shame.
Mm-hmm. From the businesses...
Although the people might still live here and spend their money here.
Totally.
But most of the money would be gone somewhere else.
Yeah. From the businesses that Iglu provides, um, could all of it, 100% of it, be done remotely, or do you need people to stay in the office to provide some of the services that you sell?
We don't need people to stay in the office. We actually we do work a lot on making the offices into a places where people like to come, and it's somewhat happening. Like, you know, I can see people coming Saturday playing pool or something like that, and it's somewhat happening. But we are kind of kicking ourselves to improve all the time the offices, to make them into a places where people that people would rather come to office than stay home. If they want to work from home, that's fine. We have no problem with that. So
So would you say that 100% of the people could work remotely?
yeah, I mean they can. Yeah, and we do have. So right now, the last time I checked the math, last time I checked the numbers, 2/3 of the people actually came to the office regularly, like pretty much every day, and the rest, the 1/3, there are people coming once a week, once a month, once a year.
That's interesting that 2/3 still prefer to come.
Yes, that was 3-4 months ago. I think the number is slightly going down now, especially because of more and more people are coming to our Bangkok, who living in Bangkok and signing up with our Bangkok office. And in Bangkok, I think it's just the distance, the travel, that it might not be worth it. So we're kind of looking if whether we should have another office in Bangkok, in the other side of the town and so on. But we shall see. We do like to get the people to the office because it's good for the networking, and I think to really get everything out from working in Iglu, I think it makes sense to come to the office.
Creative process, brainstorming together, of course.
But there are some people who work in US hours. Then coming to the office when it's all empty and there's nobody there, it doesn't make much sense. So
how many from the 90+ people? How many are in Bangkok? How many are here?
There is about, I would say, 25 in Bangkok and the rest in Chiang Mai.
Okay. And if anybody wants to use Iglu as a co-working only, do you guys open that window or no?
No, we haven't. We talked about it, but we haven't because we don't want to take the risk that we would have people working in our premises who doesn't actually have a work permit, because that could get us into a trouble. So we haven't done that. If we would to go that way, then it would have to be a separate building, probably separate company. But I don't think I think there is enough co-working spaces, so I don't think we need to go to that business. We probably we could do more networking with the existing co-working spaces and so on. I mean, I use some, like I've been to the co-hub in Koh Lanta, which was awesome. It's been lovely to see that how they're growing and how they're doing and so on. I'm probably going back there in early April to see how they're doing.
Interesting. Cool. Okay. Any tools or apps that you use as an individual or as a business owner that make your business better?
I think I might be a little bit getting old-fashioned in a way that I mean I do use Trello a lot. I think Trello is just a great of organizing things. I have a Trello I have a Trello board where each card is in each person in Iglu, so, and I can filter them so I can quickly see, okay, who's in Bangkok, who's in Chiang Mai, and using it also in a way to kind of, I have the people that already are working at Iglu, I have the people who are coming, like who are in the process of coming here, moving, relocating, and then I have the people who's thinking about it. And I'm using it in a way to kind of try to predict, for example, where we're gonna need to open the next office. Is it gonna be Bangkok office gonna get too full? Is it gonna be Chiang Mai? Is it like and for this kind of thing. Besides Trello, I mean, I use a lot of, I use Skype, I use Hangout, Google Hangouts. I try not to use too much Facebook, but I do get a lot of people contacting me on Facebook.
Actually, you have not accepted my friendship offer.
Oh, I haven't. Sorry.
You haven't.
Well,
yeah. Please accept me as
I
your
will.
friend.
I will accept it. Yeah, I've been trying to use less and less Facebook, especially for business. But I think these days, people just find it so easy to contact there. So, I do use LinkedIn quite a bit.
Oh, that's interesting. You mentioned that. So how do you use LinkedIn?
So I had a recruitment account. I don't actually. It's, right now it's disabled because we had a heavy recruitment going on about 3-4 months ago. Actually maybe 6 months ago, when we needed a lot of special skills. We needed Angular developers and so on. So I used LinkedIn to hook up with people. And it's like anyone I see that had the Angular skill is like, okay, I did, and it worked greatly because it's very easy to sell Thailand. Especially if they happen to be in a cold country, and I was like, well, come on here, having my coconut in my hand, and like, yeah, from the hammock, and,
Yeah.
and
That's the picture people have.
Yeah, and it's actually somewhat true. I mean, we do still work in a desk and so on, but we do work outside. We have the hammock, we have the standing desk there, and so on, and we do play pool as well.
So it's interesting that you use LinkedIn for recruiting.
Yeah, I use LinkedIn for recruiting.
Did you post a job there and then wait for people to apply?
No.
Or how did you do that?
I did find people who had the specific skill and then contacted them by sending a LinkedIn mail.
And how did you filter that? I'm just asking you because I'm an expert on LinkedIn. That's one of the things that I teach people to do. I'm giving a training here at Chiang Mai on Sunday on how to use LinkedIn for business. And so I work with people who are on both sides, the business owner and the person who's probably maybe looking for a job. And I'm trying to help them to make their LinkedIn attractive enough to be found by people like you. So what would you look into to actually select these people?
Well, I went through, at this point I was actually looking, it was Angular skills. So first I was filtering Angular, then I started to look if the people would happen to be already in Thailand. So take Angular, then the location Thailand. Then I started to look for how long work experience they had. Somebody had 10 years or something. And then of course see the recommendations, if there was recommendations, if there was any companies or project that I maybe know that where they have worked before, and then see like, I know that was a great company, so that guy must have some skills. If he did 5 years there, they wouldn't have kept him, and all of that. It was a lot of manual work though, to kind of filter. The thing that happens where I guess we're doing well is that I probably send 10 emails, like went it down to 10 best candidates, and I think we hired 3 or 4. So the rate out of, and those people were not looking for work, they were people who
that's
had
a
the
great
skills.
success rate.
So and that's what we actually always, I mean, that was in the very beginning when I started, when I very first started, and I started to think of the people that I worked with before who I want to bring in. There was only one person who I didn't get. Everybody else came here and started work here. There was one person who then actually visited us about 2-3 years later, and I probably could have hired back him then when he visited, but we didn't have that need anymore.
Great. So you look at the location. So it's interesting for the person to actually put his or her location where they want to be working.
Well, yeah,
although they're not living there.
Yeah.
Maybe a Brazilian wants to live in Thailand, he should put Thailand as a location.
Yeah, I mean, yes, that's true. I mean, if the location would have been Brazil, I probably would have filtered it out, because I think, well, that's so far away. They're probably not want to relocate to Thailand.
Right.
So yeah, I mean,
recommendations is something that I always tell them. They need at least 5, and you mentioned it. Okay, great. Webinars, podcasts, you don't have that in Iglu yet?
No, not yet. Could be on the pipeline, but yeah, we haven't done yet.
Like an online course of some kind, of, like, since you have so many people in gaming, maybe a little webinar to teach gaming. That could be fun.
Could be fun. Yeah. I think I need to get more people help me before I can get to that. But possibility, but not right now, like not gonna happen in the next 2 months or something. We're actually quite a booked up. Like even though we try to keep ourselves very very flexible and so on, but we do have like pretty long term plans already, like for this year, for example. So and resources for that and budgets and so on. So it might be then later. But things change. The speed we grow. You know, it might be that after the first quarter we already decide to do something more.
Yeah, just before I forget the LinkedIn, have you ever tried remoteok.io?
I have, yes, I have looked at it. Yes, definitely.
I
And
have used it and it was amazing. And they let you offer the job post for free.
right.
And LinkedIn is charging like $150, I think, for each job post, right?
Yeah. Well, I've also used it in a way that when people contact us and say that, well, I would like to work there, but I don't actually have any work right now, and if we don't have a need for that specific skill, and it's like have a look at remote, okay, and if they are okay for you to work here, then contact us and we'll do the deals, and you start working through Iglu.
Great.
So I've been probably spamming that link to at least 100 people. So,
Really?
yeah,
That's amazing. I'm a big fan of that guy. You know, he created Nomad List, and
it's awesome.
I hope to interview him one day. Last time I asked him, I got the feeling he doesn't like to talk too much. But,
Okay.
yeah, he's a genius.
Yeah, I've tried to invite him earlier to come here, but we couldn't hook up the time schedule and so on. But hopefully I'll get to meet the guy one day.
Maybe we should send a video of you giving your testimonial on remote. Okay, try to convince him.
Yes, we should. I mean, I want you to come here. So
Yeah, and make sure Matt's here to interview him.
I'm gonna buy the beers. Maybe that will work.
Okay, I got only 2 or 3 more questions. I promise I'm gonna let you go. Have you ever even considered selling the business? Is that something that crosses your mind in the future?
I can't say never, but I'm nowhere near ready. I'm not done with it yet. We actually got a buyout offer last year and we turned it down. The thing is that I have sort of a goal, sort of an idea, sort of a dream, what I want to fulfill before I'm done with it, and I think that dream is quite big.
Can you share?
Well, one thing is that I would love to see that one day all this government bureaucracy thing would be automated. So no matter where you come from in the planet, no matter where your client is, you could do everything through. It doesn't need to be Iglu. If somebody else does it, I'm happy. And I will join in. But you could do the invoicing through this company, and then just decide that okay, well, January to March, I would like to get paid my salary in Thailand. From April to September, I'm actually in Brazil, so please pay my salaries in Brazil and pay my taxes from my behalf, and you know, make sure that the visa is done and so on, and it would be all automated.
That is a big dream.
So you could be. What I want to do is like if I would be here now, and I decide tomorrow I'm actually gonna go to Madagascar. So I go to this site, I go to iglu.net. I was like, well, from tomorrow on, can you pay my salary in Madagascar? Can you sort out that I have the visa on arrival and maybe open a bank account for me? Then bang, done. And then everything happens magically without actually human interaction. That's my dream. So it's gonna take a while to get. How many countries? It's 147 or something. When I get all those on board. But we start with something that is probably one of the most difficult ones. So it's a bit just easier to move on from here.
Oh my God! I hope you reach your dream, because it would benefit the world so much.
And the funny thing is that I hate that government bureaucracy. There is nothing else I hate as much as government bureaucracy. And then I started this work, which is to deal with government bureaucracy. But I tried to make it in a way that one day in the future we don't have to deal with it anymore. It's all done. It's done by software, and it's all done behind the.
You've done so much. I remember when I came to talk to you at the conference, I was like, okay, you can tell me the truth. You're married to the Thai daughter of the immigration minister of Thailand. Like, how in the world did you get this to be authorized?
Yeah.
And I remember you told me you actually just went to Bangkok.
I got pretty much told by the lawyers that Dream On is never going to happen. It's never going to happen because your business is too small. The BOI thing is meant for, Toyota comes, Honda comes, Microsoft comes, Nokia comes, and they come and they say, well, we're going to invest this much money, and so they say, well, it's not going to happen. And I for a moment I thought, well, that's not going to happen, but it kept on bugging me. I was like, well, I do need to get the answer. Like so I flew myself there.
I already have the no.
Yeah, so I had my business idea, I had my presentation, and I flew in there and I showed it, and I was 80% sure they're going to say no. But I just needed to get that. And even if it would have been no, I would have been fine. I was like, okay, well, I'll just think of something else. But I thought the idea was there, and for my surprise, they were like, yeah, this is a great idea.
That is
then,
impressive.
of course, came all the paperwork and a lot of things that they needed. So I needed to invest. I still needed to invest quite a bit of money, so I invested my friends and family's money into it, and just hope that it's going to work. And it's starting to pay back now.
The place you went to talk was actually the government. You went straight to the government.
Yeah, it's the board of investment.
You didn't even use an agent or anything.
No.
You just went there yourself.
And I think, in my opinion, that just might have been the best thing that I did, because normally the way people deal is they're going to send a agent or lawyer to do with that. But I think they wanted to hear it from me. They wanted to hear from that business person who's actually going to do it, because I can answer all their questions, which probably the agent would have not been able to.
I'm just curious.
And because we were starting something new, something that they could not really. It was something somewhat new to them as well. So we actually, when we were there doing the presentation and so on, they helped me a lot with the application, because they see that what I'm doing is not going to be under software development category where I was applying. So they changed me to a different category, and they helped me a lot with. And at one point, they just left me with paper, pen, and calculator, and say that make those numbers match. I was like, oh, okay. Gladly, I'm pretty good in math, so I managed to do it.
That's impressive. How did you even get that meeting? How did you get there? Like, did you email them, call them, say, hey?
Yeah. So basically, actually, my wife, then girlfriend, who, by the way, is not the general's daughter or related to anything, but she was a great help. She's Thai, and she did her master's in Bournemouth in UK, so she speaks fluently English. So she was kind of my translator, my contact person, and so on. So she did arrange all the things, and she was there. If I had anything that they had difficulties to understand, then she could explain it in Thai, because she totally got the business idea from the first when I first told her. So she I don't think I actually I probably would have not been able to do all the thing, and I wouldn't be able to done all the paperwork if it wouldn't be for her. So
is she your partner here today?
She's partner here, and she's actually a shareholder in the company.
Oh, that's fair.
So,
that is fair.
Yeah.
Okay. Do you have any other partners, or is it just her?
Yuri, who you met earlier there.
Okay.
So he's most of the time in Europe, but he's traveling a lot more than me. So it's just, I think he arrived yesterday to Chiang Mai, and the last time he was here maybe 2 weeks ago. So he does travel a lot.
So last question. You mentioned that you have a dream for the future. You told us what the dream is, but this is a question I always ask my clients in their first coaching session. Is like, how do you picture your life 5 years from now? Like your perfect 5 years from now. I know that you are already living a dream of getting up in the morning totally excited to come to work. That's why I'm interviewing you, because the people I choose for this podcast it's not based on money or fame. It's totally based on the excitement of waking up and doing something they really enjoy and doing something meaningful for help, to help other people. You totally fit perfectly those two categories there. But what else? Like, is there anything else that you need to make like this perfect 5 years from now?
So 5 years from now, I have that dream of riding my motorbike. I do also want to do a around the world trip. So I want to be able to do the around the world trip while I'm working. So maybe working in 40, 50 different countries within a year. And I think I do need to do it. I can't leave it too late, because just physically to be able to do it, I think I better do it sooner than later. So probably in about 5 years time I want to be able to. So that's I guess for me that is the ultimate location independence, that I would be driving somewhere in Bulgaria and working and not worrying about somebody coming to me like, hold on, hey, where's your work permit, and so on. I do actually have another dream, which is I'm this community thing that I've been kind of hoping to find a way where maybe we could build digital nomad city, whatever it is, but a place. Let's say, for example, I don't know yet where it should be, but I've read somewhere like in Bulgaria they have a lot of these small towns that are totally deserted. People have left because they moved into the cities and so on. I would love to see an group of people, and hopefully be part of it, taking over a place like that. You know, buying the whole thing, getting the government to put a big fiber optic line in there, because it's gonna, it's gonna bring a lot of business to the once you have 100 people there working, or 200 living and working there, then you need to have a restaurant, you might need to have a driver and a car and a school and all this, so it's gonna bring business in there. So that's kind of another thing. I have no idea where in the world it will be, but I have a feeling that someday I'm either gonna, maybe when on my ride, I'm gonna come across that place, or I'm gonna meet a person who's gonna come in that, well, I know exactly, where it is and where it should be, and so on.
That's such an amazing thing.
And I'm not even sure if I'm gonna be living there myself. I just want to see it happening and building it.
Right.
And want to be part building it.
Yeah, I've seen one of these forums, people talking about like Spain, some of those villas that they have in Europe, because countries that are having financial difficulties like Spain, they have these villas with 10 little houses in the middle of Spain in this gorgeous place, and it's totally bankrupt. They're almost giving it away. And I've seen some digital nomads post something like, is anybody interested in buying this villa with me? And let's get a group of 10 digital nomads and buy this villa and just move there. And I saw a lot of people, it became a popular post.
There is one other thing. Have you heard of Liberland?
I haven't.
Okay, Liberland. So there is this project, I would call it, a Liberland project, where president of Liberland, he found this piece of land between Croatia and Serbia, and announced it as an independent state of Liberland, which is tax-free state, and a very liberal state. So as of now, nobody lives there yet because Croatia blocks people getting in. But in one day, maybe those two things are the same, one and the same thing. That what I'm talking about, this digital nomad city, maybe that will be a Liberland, so its own independent micronation somewhere, maybe inside another country. I have a great interest for politics. I've been running for parliament elections twice in Finland as a member of a Finnish Liberal Party. So I do actually follow politics quite closely.
So you will be that president. You will be the digital
no,
nomad city.
I don't think I could be the ambassador for Thailand, the Liberland ambassador in Thailand.
Yeah.
but yeah. I would like to just help that to happen. Whatever the role would be, I would just like to help that to happen and see that. I would, I'm a very liberal person myself, and I would like to see that kind of country somewhere.
Right.
And that might just be a place where I might actually live in. So,
yeah.
If ever I'm to leave Thailand, unless Thailand becomes the Liberland, but if ever I'm to leave Thailand, then it probably would be Liberland where I would be moving to.
Interesting. So I do have a project because I worked in the slums in Brazil for 10 years with kids, disadvantaged kids. And I've been thinking how can I do this online? So I came up with a project called One Kid at a Time, and where clients of mine and friends of mine would adopt a kid to mentor online. And this could be replicated anywhere in the world. All we need is the mentor and that kid to speak the same language. So in Brazil, I need Brazilian mentor, Brazilian kid. Anywhere in the world that they speak English, like Europe and Asia, they speak much more English. It could be a mentor here and a kid in India. So kids between 12 and 24, we would mentor them 30 minutes every 2 weeks. And I would be providing a training on how to mentor these kids, templates, what questions to ask, how to inspire them in these conversations. So it's a 30-minute conversation once every 2 weeks. So that person is actually donating 1 hour per week of his or her time as a mentor to change that kid's life. And I've been actually thinking of a lot of us digital nomads could actually, if that kid wants to be a digital nomad, we could actually help them go study web developing. Study graphic design, study, because if a person today knows how to build a website fast, they can pretty much pay their costs here in this side of the world, right?
Yeah.
So does this project make any sense to you? Is there any way that I could maybe we could partner up and show the project to your people here to see if anybody's interested in participating?
Definitely. And I think actually I'm pretty sure you can find people from here who are interested. We have people here who volunteering in schools doing what's it called, cookathon or something, but they're cooking food for the kids in the school. And so I'm actually looking to donate. I'm looking to place to donate our old computers. So I got a bunch of. There's one there, but I think I have about 5-6 laptops, couple of desktops that nobody using anymore, but they're still perfectly good. So we're looking to install Linux Ubuntu them and then find a place, a school where we can donate them and teach them and so on. And,
amazing, because then maybe you could donate them to the school where we could actually have the kids use those computers. The only thing is that they would probably need to speak, unless we find people who speak Thai.
Right.
But you do have people who speak Thai.
Although maybe yes, I do. And then although there might be also, some of these hill tribe schools, they actually speak decent English, they a little bit English, so it might even work in English.
Amazing! I'm happy you're interested.
That's
that's my dream.
Yeah.
That's totally my dream. To be full-time dedicated to this project. Ozzy, I'm going to thank you. I'm going to show my face here because I haven't showed my face on video. Yay! I'm so happy that Ozzy talked to us. It was a great talk.
Thank you.
Amazing. Okay.